I've been planning and plotting since I was little for an escape. God forbid you actually accomplished hurting me, which you clearly have. All right, so now we said, okay, so process, right? I was like, so if I've got these things just painting themselves over like nice white guys' houses that look like Aunt Judy's in a nice white neighborhood. Coming out, right, they said they're more like Indo-Asian, because the Grand Cayman kids who actually came over by quiet airline and boat on a separate vice issue, right? We're not talking about them, and they have, like, we don't need, like, rioters on, like, I need you to understand shit. Like, whatever your crime was, back it up, because, like, I got real serious Air Force crimes. All right, so, like, if I got these, like, new, they're not Grand Cayman, they're not Haitian, they're not Dominican, they're not Puerto Rican, they're not Cuban, they're not Bahamas, they're not anything that looks like that. They're not. There's something totally different from a country far, far away from wherever New York is. And from New York going to Mexico, didn't see any there. Didn't see any in the island of St. Thomas, St. John's. Where else did I go? Bahamas, Puerto Rico. Nope, didn't see any there. Jamaica, went to Jamaica, didn't see any there. Right, okay, great. So now that we know they're not like in the one corridor that I'm familiar with, they come from a totally different type of scary animal. I did see one travel to New York, specifically into my Starbucks location, drinking coffee once. But he's the first one I've ever seen in my local visual pickup. So now, let's think. And he, by the way, the one that they sent, so I would have one record of one of them being friendly and soft like a teddy bear. Right, okay, so they sent one. They really softened his visual everything. Not that I'm falling in love with other people's children, but it's really amazing what a few grappling hooks or whatever will do on a paint machine, because I saw the other version of him and I'm just telling you, I am concerned that I put up a picture today of some like little scrawny like white Jewish kid, like he looked like he's one of the new lollipop dipshits that went to college, right? Yeah, I think he might even be theatrical in nature, like he plays on Broadway, right? Okay, so one of those kids, right? Yeah, see, if my country's being invaded by these really scary dark-skinned guys, right? Yeah, that I don't know, I don't speak their language, they don't smell the same, they don't look the same. The last thing I'm gonna want is Yaya's booby picking up the phone and not being able to get anyone. Right, yeah, because I'm living in a world of Yaya's boobies. But that's my grandson. Right, yeah, got that. He just doesn't belong in, like, the Air Force, the Navy, or the Army. He just doesn't. Right, yeah, good. Okay, so as long as we're straight with that, because, like, the kids that, like, don't know stuff like Yaya's booby, right? Right, yeah, they need, like, men they can rely on. Not like the one that goes, what happens if I pick up the phone and it doesn't work? Right, yeah, actually, they don't even know to ask that question, which is really what's scary about me appearing. I'm like, now, do your kids know not to ask that question? Or they're like, actually, no, they just think it's magical. They'll pick it up, and whatever number Grandpa gave them will magically work every time. I'm like, right, well, I mean, now, do I have to do the Thanksgiving thing? Like, he's like, you know what? The more I speak to you, the more I'm realizing I'm the one who should be grateful for having you point all these things out, because don't tell my buddies, but I didn't realize how much I didn't know. I'm like, right, yeah, no, I got okay. So, no, because they said you were the angry one, right? You're mad at me because I should hold one. And he's, nope, we're good. I'm like, okay. So now, I was really successful with helping out some really angry, like old time veterans of like the respectable kind when they were actually respectable, and some floating around in a retirement pool that was friendly enough to share them with me. Like the good guys, right? So those guys were very, very like interesting to teach me stuff and vocabulary. I enjoyed my time with them. So anyway, um, although it was like, yeah, then it was, wait, now I need you to fix that one for me. Right. Okay. So anyway, so then we had, right, I'm like, so now they think that any phone number grandpa gives them, magic phone's gonna work based on the numbers, right? And yeah, so, but who knows, like by the time they get to the phone, they find the number in the book, like, what happens if the bad guys already painted a house into the visual cortex? And what happens if Yaya's booby picks up the phone and calls the number Grandpa gave him for his protection? And the guy on the other phone's going, I work at the FBI. We did all this, like, naturalization that your grandpa said was okay. Yeah, we let all the enemies over. We are all now mixed in the office. And your little like bubby kids, I'm not giving you any answers, and I'm not really helping you very much. I don't really see a point in having any of you. Oh yeah, see, I think that's the FBI in that part of the world, right? That's the scary part, when like you got other people's kids, 'cause now they're in your homeland, sitting on top of you and not letting the good fellas out, and the Yaya's boobies went to college and goes, we're all friends because I have phone numbers. No, you don't. That's gonna work for about a decade, and then the enemy's plan was to start spinning the fun wheel of stupid, because they had every number you might use to get one over on me, the one who knew things, and trying to get some active participation in helping my one situation. Right. Okay. So, my guys were not so helpful. I'm going to be honest. Well, let's see this way. My grandmother Mariah. Oh, look at this. Here she is. Look. You want to talk about Yaya having? Look. Oh my gosh. If she's not a Normandy French, whatever special in Scottish things. Okay. So now, if Brennan can agree in Ireland with the McClurgs, if you're not ready to right, I went over to Ireland. I saw the new Irish that they have there. Right, well, they're old Irish, but in the southern part of Ireland, they really didn't look anything like the Loch babies up north, or like over the water a little. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was a passenger. Ken and Claudia were driving, but they did point that out the entire time I was in the country. All right. So now, let's think about this. So, my Uncle Bob, so I had to go looking for hobbies. I said, the guys at the Air Force were like, all right, ask your family if they enjoy hobbies. Now, McClurg, by the way, I think it was Mary McClurg and Andrew McClurg, who lived 2 or 3 doors down from my grandmother, Mariah. They had a house there. They stopped speaking. First of all, my grandmother, she kept calling herself Marie. So I'll just go with that for now. Mariah turned her name to Marie. So, they stayed in the house, but once they had the 3rd kid, which was my mom, Linda, then they were like, why don't you stop having kids? Like, why do you need so many kids? And then they stopped completely speaking, and the Andy and Mary would no longer acknowledge anything past my mom. For some reason, my mom was the last kid that they would acknowledge. Like my mom tells a story that my Uncle Stevie, the last one, he was really he made a painting or something at school and wanted to bring it to his grandmother down the block, excited, knocking on the door, but she wouldn't open the door for him. She wouldn't. So that happened. So I know back in the day, you guys were really good at following directions if there was some need. What happens is, though, nobody told Mariah how special Linda was, and nobody came and held the hand of anyone in the family. Just potato famines from the Orida up in Canada, frozen food factory, right? No mounted men up there. I'm sorry, you got a lot of yayas, bubbies too? Yeah, I see we all got a whole lot of them. Right, dipshits and lollipops, got it. All right, so then we got, let's think about this. Right. So then I've got, I asked like my uncles what they like to do for hobbies. They're like, well, we really work a lot because we got kids, family, house, mortgage, cars, and we don't really have a lot of time. I'm like, right. Okay. So is there any time hanging out with the boys like Uncle Cliffy does? He's like, yeah, no, our wives don't really like that. I mean, Shelley doesn't really like it either, so we hear, but right. So then I had to find out if how they spent their time, enjoying their time, because if you have no money, you're constantly working, you really have no time for your kids, you have no time for your wife whatsoever. My friends at Castle Grayskull over the water were like, why do they keep clinging to this why can't we build them something nicer? I mean, I thought that was going to be not like easy, but apparently they wanted to punish me for 42 years and lock me in their hellhole commode between the Army, Navy, and Air Force command, and not giving me a single day's peace or rest, and invoking some grappling hook from the shipbag children they didn't even know existed in the 80s unless they had spent time overseas or saw a picture book from the library and were directed to the LIBOR page or the Liber page. Yeah, it's going to be a little work, boys, but on this one, you might want to like get moving. Right, okay, so like my guys, okay, so Uncle Eddie took up golfing and car club. I think Richie and Tommy are in a car club. I don't know. And then what else they got? I don't really know them, so I don't know. But I think that's about it. I mean, oh, and my other Uncle Bob, the Casella, right, he said fishing. And he took me out fishing once with Joseph. Not Cup of Joe. This is not my mid-size SUV. This is my cousin, Joseph Casella. So he was the one who got hurt. Somebody came and cut up his entire face with a broken glass bottle for some reason, and you fucking shitbags. All right, so now Uncle Bob took me and Joe upstate some point. We went on a canoe. I'd never been on a canoe before. I was like, oh, like Pocahontas, right? Pocahontas would be the reference for this. And then he was teaching about his tackle box and the lures. I don't really have a very vivid, accurate memory, but I know he was always really good, and he was actually really good and patient with me to try to teach me as many like mechanical pieces, because he knew even when I was a young girl, when I stayed over, like when he would play his guitar, I'd ask him to teach me about the music on the sheets, because it was different than what Judy was used to reading. And then I want to have whole conversations. And sometimes he'd have to say, he says, Nicole. He goes, I know you're young and you're curious. He says, but I just got home from work and I really wanted to play a song on my guitar. And I was like, all right, I'll wait. And then I'd just sit and I'd just be quiet and he'd play. So, I mean, like, who knows? Like, I mean, how much is too much? You just have to, I mean, I'm easy if you just let me know. And I'm very quiet if I don't know like if I'm assessing and just observing, because pretty much I've been on observance my whole entire career as wearing human skin, which I'm not so fond of, I'm not going to lie. This has been the most useless projection, like projectile, whatever. So then let's think about this. So Bob taught me about lures and the tackle box. Only guy I went fishing with in this uniform with a tattoo. Let's think. And although I didn't have a tattoo then because I was little. Let's think about this. And any more fancy skills? Right. No, I asked Uncle Tommy, I'm like, well, what do you like to do? Because I'm really, he knew, I was like, I know you married Eleanor, and I know you're really in love with her. That's what the humans, those are the words they use. I was like, and I'm not trying to say anything because I don't want to get myself in trouble. I mean, you know, I don't like my Linda. I mean, your Linda seems fine, but my Linda is not so nice. I was like, and I said, I do like Judy as a lady, though. I mean, her personality works for me. I was like, but you know, I want to help you because, right. I mean, my Uncle Tommy is such a nice, I mean, he is, and he said, you know, honestly, he says, we really, you know, at Uncle's Club, like we were, or like, you know, the Gundar men or whatever, that you asked us to just, as brothers, go out and talk one night. Like, you know, what do we like to do? What could we come up with for our kids and whatever? He's like, we didn't even think to do that until you mentioned it. He's like, and then we were thinking like, if it wasn't for her, then like what would we have missed? You know, going down that road. And I'm like, right. I'm like, okay. I was like, so, and he's like, but yeah, I mean, again, I said, so now why do you think that you guys didn't do this before I got here? And he's like, that's the thing. He's like, you know, nobody really points these things out. He's like, and then it gets hard to, like, you don't know what you're looking for. I'm like, right. Yeah, I'm trying to put that together into how to fix that because that's a rolling, ongoing issue with you humans in this broken whatever you're in. I was like, but you know, I'm supposed to be like Field of Dreams. I'm not supposed to be living in small quarters with people that are not wearing skin. They're in skin at the moment, but I don't know how my side got into skin so without such direction. I don't know who took the directions away from you guys. It's like, you know, it's like they gave you this wonderful toy, but they were like, nope, figure out how to use it. You can't, no, we have directions. We're just not giving them to you. You figure out how to use your own machines. What? Right. That's what it was like for my poor uncles. And I'm like trying to fit in. I was like, is it at least helpful? You know, I mean, I'm trying to earn goodwill for Castle Grayskull by helping you guys find out what hobbies you enjoy and to help them in goodwill together to like actively participate in some kind of a ministry, since Aunt Judy's thing was really scary because I don't know what they practice and they're not Protestant or Catholic or Christian. And so the Air Force guys were saying, so I don't know.